Dames en heren, hartelijk dank dat jullie in deze meetup gekomen zijn. Het is misschien leuk om even te vertellen hoe dit tot stand is gekomen. Ik ben heel erg veel aanwezig geweest op Lisk chat. Heb ik een aantal mensen leren kennen. En zo is het idee ontstaan om een keer samen te komen met 4, 5 mensen. Om eens te praten over wat wij doen voor de community, qua ontwikkeling, qua promotie. Toen zijn we op zoek gegaan naar een plek om dat te organiseren. En al heel snel bleek er dus veel meer animo te zijn om samen te komen om over Lisk te praten. Ik heb toen Vlad leren kennen. Hij is van Makerdam, zo heet deze locatie. Dat is Vlad, dat staat achteraan. De presentatie zal ook in Engels gehouden worden, mede omdat Vlad Engels is en verstaat. Hij zei van kom naar Rotterdam, we hebben daar een mooie ruimte en dan kunnen we het daar organiseren. Zodoende heb ik een meetup pagina gemaakt en hebben we het aantal 40 man ingesteld. Dat bleek wel heel snel te weinig te zijn, dat schoot door naar 50, 60, 70. Tegen de 80 man hebben zich in ieder geval aangemeld voor dit evenement. En dat komt ook mede omdat Thomas Schouten van Lisk had aangekondigd dat hij hier ook naartoe wilde komen. Om zijn verhaal te houden, zijn idee te geven, zijn ervaring over Lisk. En uiteraard de exacte datum van de SDK aankondigen. Ja. Ik zal vooral die vraag hoef je niet te stellen, want het is natuurlijk onderdeel van een grote strategie dat later vervolgen. Ik heb iedereen al aangegeven dat als je de gang in loopt, aan het einde is de keuken. Pak zelf eten en drinken. Toiletten zijn ook in de gang te vinden. Thomas heeft een aantal t-shirts meegenomen die we willen verloten. Aan de hand van een vragenlijst. Op de tafel ligt die. Zoals iedereen achteraf die kan invullen. Dan we zien let goed op. Op het moment, let goed op inderdaad voor de presentatie. Daar worden een hoop antwoorden gegeven. Als tweede spreker is Robert ook nog aanwezig. Hij wil iets vertellen over crowd. Moet ik goed zeggen? Even kijken. Crowd ownership. Door middel van smart contracts. En dat heeft voornamelijk met de vastgoedbranche te maken. En er komt zo dadelijk nog iemand naar mij toe die ook nog iets wilde vertellen. Dus er komt nog een kleine presentatie erachteraan. Misschien is het leuk voor elkaar om nog eventjes te kijken wie van de mensen Lisk zelf hebben aangeschaft. Niet. Kijk, wie niet? Wie niet? Iedereen? Nou, fantastisch. Wie van de mensen hier is een ontwikkelaar? Oké. Nou, fantastisch. Dan hebben we een goede indruk. En dan heb ik het woord graag aan Thomas.
Thanks, super. Ik had de stille hoop dat ik eindelijk een presentatie kon geven in het Nederlands. Ik moet echt af en toe nog wennen om weer terug te schakelen naar mijn eigen taal. Volledig in het Engels uiteraard bij Lisk. En zoals Joost al zei, ik moet weer terug naar het Engels, maar dat is ook echt blockchain. Dus from now on I will start speaking English again. A couple of weeks ago, I was boarding the plane with Max, the co-founder of Lisk. And we were waiting in the plane for I think 2 hours or so. And then after 2 hours, the intercom told us, guys, there's a technical error. You have to deboard again. We're going to put you in a hotel. We're going to reimburse yourself the ticket and also the hotel. And then tomorrow there's another flight. And we had a really important meeting with our PR agency next day. So it was super inconvenient. Not only the fact that we had to board the next day, but especially the fact that we had to wait for 2 months before we got reimbursed our flight and the hotel. And Lisk has enough money, but still was super inconvenient. Second example, last week my credit card needed a higher limit, Deutsche Bank credit card, and I went to I got 7 letters, 7 paper letters in my inbox, and I couldn't figure out, not stupid, I couldn't figure out how to activate my credit card. My other colleague, Lindsay, maybe you know her as well, also couldn't figure it out. We went to one of the stores, one of the offices of Deutsche Bank, and then they said, no, this department here is only for consumers. 5 kilometers, other side of the city there is the business side of Deutsche Bank. Now then I was like, okay, I'm so happy I'm working for Lisk and working on a solution to those problems. But first, before we dive into Lisk, a bit more about myself. I think like a bunch of you guys already know me. I've been in Twitter and Instagram for a bit. I went with Max to the Asia tour, which had a lot of exposure. Super cool to be back in Rotterdam. I lived here for 5 years. Studied at Erasmus University, business administration, before I finished my studies in Milan. Then went traveling and came back to Europe, and I had the feeling, okay, blockchain is the shit. I need to go. I need to work for blockchain. And then I called Max and I said, Max, I have online marketing experience. Do you need a marketeer? And he was like, yes, I'm writing at this moment the job description. I need you. Let's come over to Berlin. Let's talk. So I went partying, and 2 weeks later I was living in Berlin. Absolutely amazing roller coaster. Thanks so much, Joost, and other people in the community for all the effort. It's absolutely outstanding. We can't come back with all the requests and all the questions and everything. It's just too big. We are like the startup size, and we have like a community over a big corporate. It's absolutely amazing, and congratulations also now with the delegate position, which is more than deserved. I'm the marketing lead of Lisk, as probably also a bunch of you already know. I'm not a developer. I will try to go a bit deeper in the topics, marketing-wise, strategy-wise, which are my topics, but also a little bit of future perspective for our developers among us. Again, I'm not a developer, but let's see how much I satisfy you today. I have a bunch of slides. I figured that you would like to listen today. If you have any questions, please jump in directly. Let's make it a bit interactive because I'm always talking so much. So that would be cool. Half an hour, I think, short break, and then another half an hour to wrap up. So agenda of today was hard to figure out what should I talk about. Joost said like, yeah, there are a couple of beginners, but also mainly people that are already in the community for a while. So try to go also a bit deeper into topics which are not on Reddit and Twitter, etc. I will cover briefly the past, what has been done, Crypty, where it all started, the network went live, the foundation, the expansion of the team, etc. And currently, like recently, the Asia tour. Then I will go to the present. What are we working on? This is most interesting part, I think, for the people over here. It's like the new exchanges. We have been talking to the Core 1.0 release, which is highly anticipated. Rebranding, well, I don't have to say anything about this. SDK, obviously, like the key value driver for the future. The Academy working on currently. And we are working on extensive video strategy. And then the last thing, the future. You said go a bit further into the future. Mainly Max and myself are responsible for shaping that strategy and also hiring the people according to this strategy. And is it readable for everybody also in the back? No. Yes? Okay. Am I loud enough? Yes. Do I go too fast? Okay, perfect. So first of all, grassroots effort. I will go more in depth later. Our new ambassador program, really like this decentralized effort. I'm going to talk about the evolving ecosystem, the decentralized exchange, which is on the agenda for us. We're going to cover this also with an ICO suite. We want to position ourselves as this thoughtful leader. We have to focus on utility and not only on value in ICOs, which is kind of happening currently. Some partnerships, some heads up. No news. Sorry, guys. I can't. Although I love you, I can't say anything more than is on Reddit. But I can go more in detail on topics we can actually cover. Satellite offices. We are thinking about having satellite offices over the whole globe, basically. Belgium. We have to pick our battles where we go. And I have a great incentive because I'm Dutch myself to maybe together with Joost to set up something up here in the form of. Your shoe is in front of them.
Oh, sorry.
In form maybe of an incubator. Could be cool to have an incubator, but later about that more. So where did it start? Well, most of you guys probably know that are for a while in the community. It started with Crypty. Not for me, but for Max Kordek and Oliver Beddoes, our two founders. At that time they were working on it, and there was sort of a clash with ideas where it should go. It was in the early days. Was no ICO frenzy, no Bitcoin was I think like $100 or so. And they found each other. Max and Oliver, they found each other on a strategy. They said, okay, we need to make blockchain more accessible. We need to make blockchain more easy to develop, and we need to like really push for adoption of blockchain. And that's why they said, okay, we have the example of Ruby on Rails, probably developers of all you know. You probably know it. We have Django, etc. Why don't we make this for blockchain? But we utilize JavaScript and Node.js. And this is what we're currently working on, and we're really close to realizing that idea and that ambition. A bit more about the ICO. I cover also things that are probably known for, again, a bunch of you guys, but I know that already some of you are new. ICO distribution, not super interesting. We distributed 100 million tokens, raised 14,000 Bitcoins approximately. And the most important part, currently also thanks to Bitcoin, we are holding over $120 million in Switzerland in assets, mainly cryptocurrencies because we believe in it, and because we were not following the advice of our previous advisors and the community to liquidate Bitcoins when they reached a certain all-time high, like 1 year ago, but we all kept them, and that's why we have so much money currently. And it's also it's directly available, and it's super secure in the foundation in Zug in Switzerland. Some small stats, maybe even it's already outdated. Sorry, I think this goes so fast. I don't have the latest to check it up again. May 24th, my birthday last year, the network went live without any major issue. It's running now for over 1.5 years. The board is Max, Oliver, and Guido. We need one guy sitting in Switzerland in order to have a foundation in Switzerland. If there's somebody in the audience that wants to get more information about setting up this foundation, maybe about legal structures, and I don't want to go too much in detail currently, but we can talk about it after that as well. We tried in Germany, we failed to do it in Germany, that's why it took us months to get it up and running in Switzerland. End of 16, we finally got it done, and we could start hiring in January. MME, best legal firm currently for blockchain, I think, doing an amazing job for us, advising us for legal stuff, regulations, currently with the China situation, etc. They have a huge waiting list for new cryptocurrencies, and they want to do an ICO, and they need a legal partner in order to back them up. And we were lucky that they accepted us at that time to become a client. So we try to work with the very, very best in other people's industries. We have an amazing team, and I will show you later. We have so many new people, and they all bring something to the table. But we're talking about making a platform, making a solution for potentially millions of people, and we cannot do it by ourselves. So we work together with people outside the industry, because blockchain is also later for people outside our industry. And we believe that if you want to make it accessible for the big public, which Lisk is really trying to achieve next year, we need to work with people that are also outside the industry. So that's why we work together with Lightcurve. It's the blockchain studio where basically all the people that work on Lisk, development, operations, marketing, myself, are on the paycheck. Wax and PR, based in New York. They have their satellite office in Dublin. That's why we have to fly to Dublin. Only blockchain, by the way, also waiting list. Tyconauten, probably some of you already know it as well, our design agency, which takes care of the rebranding. Currently, we have a whole office in WeWork. It's like a co-working space in Berlin. And the rooms are really expensive there because it's an amazing co-working space. And we have now one room exclusively for the guys to sit in our office to work with us on a daily basis. I talk to them multiple times a day. They get feedback from mainly me, Max and Oliver, and our two front-end guys, Fit and Ali. People think that we are making a rebranding, and that if it takes long, it's our fault. I don't want to blame somebody else, but we have to deal with third-party experts, and they don't want to deliver an amazing job, and they iterate and reiterate, and constantly reshape it and rethink it, and then there's another designer coming to the table with a fresh pair of eyes, and then again we reshape it, and I think I'm super proud of what we have currently. There are two people in the audience from Expand Online, the online marketing agency we're working with, and tomorrow morning I'm going to show them the rebranding. So yeah, I can't show anything today. Will be really nice. The 22nd of November, I will announce in Berlin the date of the launch. That's cool. Relevance, I'll brand consult more about that later. Expand Online, as I said, will take care of most of our online marketing efforts, SEO, SEA, maybe even in a triangle cooperation with Google. We already got calls from Google in New York saying that, guys, this is a high potential startup. Normally we work with Fortune 500 companies, but we think it's a sales pitch, I know, but they want to work with us. They want us to spend a lot of money, the 120 million, they want to have it in their hands, of course. But we can get some really good insights from them, and I think that's really cool with the triangle cooperation with Expand Online, which is part of the DEP network. Bitcoin Swiss and MME, our legal partners. Bitcoin Swiss can liquidate big amounts of cryptocurrencies without any problems. And then we have 2 video production companies. Element E will take care of the homepage video, which is going to be amazing. And Boomerang takes more care of our video strategy, which is more recurring. So yeah, I did some fast counting, over 70 industry experts working on this currently. Not all full-time, only Lightcurve is working full-time, the rest is all part-time. Team expanded like crazy. Started with the founders, back-end developers, then I came to the team, front-end developers, full-stack developers. There you go. So, and this is heavily outdated. I mean, we have like Michael joined my team recently. We have another front-end back-end developer. We get an HR guy from Belgium, a back-end developer, QA engineer from Israel. Super decentralized effort. I think we are the most diverse team in the industry. We cover, I think, 17 or 18 nationalities with between 25 and 30 people. We're sitting all in the same building, and I think if you compare to other cryptocurrencies, they are more decentralized. Yes, it's good to be decentralized, but you can also go too far in it. I think that we don't waste time with setting up Skype calls or Slack or something. We really are sitting together, even now, as I mentioned, with Tyconauten, to have this synergy and be really fast as fast as possible in our production. And I think that's really important. Also, the connection between marketing and development, which I'm trying to bridge as much as possible, although it's sometimes difficult. Here, a quick screenshot. A couple of weeks ago, actually, already, in one of our offices, we throw every morning at 9:30. We throw around the football. If you catch it, you have to explain what you're up for the day. Also, again, to really create a synergy between people. I'm having a problem. How can somebody else help us out? I think this is really like, we are a startup. We are a serious project. We're not some scheme over the internet. We show people we are humans, and we go for lunch with each other. We play table tennis with each other. We are just a startup, and the difference is that we're working on blockchain, and in blockchain you have the benefit of that you get all your funding in the beginning. So in business school I got taught that you get first seed funding, then A, B, C, and you have to show traction. And what we do is we get everything at once. We were lucky that we got really cheap Bitcoin, so now we have basically 120 million. We spend under 1 million. It's crazy per year currently. This will rapidly grow when we go into online advertising, etc., and rebranding, etc., partnerships. But we are a normal startup, and this is also what we want to emphasize. We have people coming outside our industry, not only our contractors, but also the people we hire. I hired my whole team myself. Those are not people super familiar with it. They're not blockchain developers. They're not ex-Ethereum guys. We are building a normal startup, and they are super intrinsically motivated. We are working together on something which is not called work. It's like a project we're working on. And I think this is really important. We are just a company, and we go for lunch together here. Another screenshot. We have the Tiergarten in Berlin right in front of us. Super cool. And you see the guys working. I want to show you a bit more. I also showed this in Asia, so some of you guys saw the recordings of the meetups maybe. A bit the same, but I anyways wanted to show you. Still hiring. Community manager is by far the most needed at this stage to join the marketing team. We need somebody that is in direct contact with all you guys on a daily basis, 24/7 or 24/5. And recording like the video strategy, videographer, designer, illustrator. Not the designer to do the rebranding, because that's taken care of, but designer to really expand our whole rebranding and over all our channels, and it is much more work than expected. Again, it's a lot of promises, but a little bit of patience is required. We have product releases. Again, this is really high level for people that are not familiar with Lisk. Lisk Core establishes the decentralized Lisk network, so it contains basically all the algorithms and rules to run the network. Latest version 0.9.10, and we are about to release our first full version of Lisk Core. Later about that more. So really fast. We have a server, we have Lisk Core. Together it combines to a Lisk node. And not everybody runs a full node. There's like a full server. Some do to have direct access to the network, and some people tune in with their user interface only, which is called the Nano. We have other other products like Lisk, command line interface for more than power users and developers among us to operate through a terminal, make it easier for them to connect to a node. As you can see here, visualized. And then for the most of our traders among us know the Lisk Nano, which is basically a user interface, and then you connect to that node without running a node or /server yourself. Latest version 1.2. The front-end guys are doing an amazing job. Release cycles are high. This is the end stage of it. Kind of 1.3 will come up, and then probably it will merge into the new wallet, which will be integrated onto the website. That's super excited. So Nano is gonna die. We're gonna have the wallet, or we have probably a name for it, but I can't tell. Will be integrated onto the website together with the Explorer, how you currently know it, as an external website again. And it's going to be all together. Why? We want to focus on accessibility, simplicity. My mom should be able to integrate it, or to send the tokens, and not something which is a bit more difficult. Yes.
Does that mean that we will lose the desktop application, or will it be next to each other, the new Lisk wallet?
Good question. Beginning and next to each other, we need a transition phase, probably. Later, that will be the same as I don't even know how to call it, like a Electron.
Electron is the client.
Potentially like the web version. And then the thing is, like they said to us, we need a web version for simplicity and accessibility, but we have power users. So we might even have some power features in a downloadable app, and have then the vast majority of the people operating on the internet.
All right.
Yeah. So visualize this Nano connects to the Lisk node to vote or to make transactions. This JS really fast. It will be called Lisk API later on. It's especially for exchanges important, framework, independent library, design transactions locally. Latest version, as far as I know, 0.4.5. Asia tour. There was a lot on social media about the Asia tour. Joost asked me to elaborate a bit more on the Asia tour. Absolutely ridiculous experience. I'm super fortunate that I could go there together with Max. The plan was to go with more people. Unfortunately, Joel, you might know him as well. He was planned to go. He left the company, so we had to go with the two of us. It was absolutely super successful. We talked to so many projects, got amazing input, amazing inspiring new projects, good input. We tried to transfer all that inspiration and excitement to the team locally in Berlin, and that I think we achieved doing so. Not only this, I also talked to exchanges and much more. I will show you a bunch of pictures. What was our goal? China, Shanghai, Korea, Seoul, Japan, Tokyo, India, Mumbai. Why those countries? First, it has to be logistically, I would say planning-wise, should make sense. So we have to pick some conferences or events to go to. It's a long flight, so you want to combine it. It was perfect. We had a conference in Shanghai, we had a conference in India, and in between we could pass by our local community Lisk members in Korea and Japan. Reason, they are much further than we are. Especially, in Korea we saw an ATM with the Bitcoin logo already. In China they pay with Alipay, they pay with WeChat Pay, much faster in this sense. India has I don't know how many developers, especially JavaScript developers in India. It's for us an interesting market. Although in the end of the tour we said, like, let's put a big world map in the office, and we buy some darts or so. Maybe it's a bit too random, but let's point out what kind of countries we want to focus on, because India, it's super nice. There are like potentially millions of JavaScript developers. But if you look here in the Netherlands, how much people are already into our community, how many knowledge already is required, and also the relative engagement of, let's say, people from Poland, people from the Netherlands on the Lisk platform, we see it in our own analytics, is super high. We see an emerging interest from the Asia region. That's why we went there. We had some amazing people helping us with setting up the local meetups. Some quick pictures for you guys. It was a bit more pictures than the one in the blog. So for the ones that saw the blog, you see now a bit more. This was like the conference floor in Shanghai. At this moment, China announced that they were banning ICOs, or at least heavily regulating it. So we had a nice meetup, and that was cancelled because they didn't dare to do the meetup anymore, because it's like slightly related to tokens and cryptocurrencies. So we did a meeting with some investors and some delegates instead. But Wang Xiang is the organizer of this conference, and they have their focus on blockchain as technology rather than cryptocurrency. So they could still do it. Vitalik here, first time I saw him, opened with saying that blockchain is really mainstream. Putin and Paris Hilton endorsing some cryptocurrencies, absolutely ridiculous. Went out with some guys we met there for dinner. We had a traditional tea session with a lot of our elite delegates. The Chinese one at least.
They exist.
They exist. They're also human and they breathe. Also got a lot of feedback from them regarding things like the consensus algorithm, which was a bit more technical. They were fishing for dates, of course, like what you guys are also doing. We gave the presentation. It was an interactive session, and they mainly wanted to make a lot of pictures. So that's absolutely ridiculous. I went with every single one on the picture. Absolutely crazy. There was a token summit going on that was cancelled as well because token summit was organized, cost $500,000, was cancelled. Instead, we had the drink instead. Yeah.
How do you see the future of Lisk in China?
Yeah, good question. So currently, Shanghai was always a focus for us because I think the majority of our ICO participants were from China. We have a Chinese ambassador, Luis, who is really active. The guy here with the thumb up. He does an amazing job with organizing those type of events, but also when we're not in China. So for us, it would have made sense to open potentially an office in Shanghai. That's also what we hinted on Twitter, let's say. With the current regulation, we see a lot of Binance, for instance, moving towards, I think, Japan, from China to Japan because of the situation. We are no regulation experts. We have no in-depth access to what it's going to do, what's going to happen. China can change their opinion next week. We don't know. We're going to follow it closely, of course, and see which countries are, for us, the most interesting to target. Maybe we say we target first on Europe, because it's closer physically, but also there's a lot of potential here. And you have the United States, which is still, I think, front runner for blockchain as a technology. We had, instead of the token summit, we had this drink. In the end, it turned out to be super valuable. Bumped into many interesting people. Talked to the CEO of Neo, exchanged some good thoughts. So really cool. I can tell which exchanges we went to. We made the mistake, or we didn't know. We posted a photo on Twitter with one of them. You can find it if you want, maybe somewhere on Reddit. There was here pitching Lisk, like I'm doing currently. I do a bit different format, a bit more focused for the exchange. They don't know so much about this. There's so much to gain. It's absolutely, they don't know. We always assume that it's top 20 currently or so, but they have no clue. So it was really good for us to pitch it there, and they were really like, wow, okay, that's cool. And we sent them a bunch of information afterwards, and we're currently in the process with a couple, but more about that later. Blockchain meetup in Seoul, in Korea, slightly smaller group, more developers, same. Went out for dinner at the Korean restaurant where they accepted all kinds of cryptocurrencies, and they invited us over for dinner. It was super cool to talk with them, how they see the market growing, and maybe potentially accepting Lisk, although we don't want to be seen as a currency but a utility token. But okay, as I said, in Bitcoin option on the ATM, that's just for me absolute eye-opener. In Berlin you can't even pay by card, it's all in cash. It's absolutely shit. In the Netherlands everything can go by card. And this is Korea, but in Japan they're gonna leapfrog, so-called the stage of credit cards and cards. So they do everything in cash mainly, and then I haven't invested in cryptocurrency. So they might just skip the whole step and go directly into cryptocurrency. That's, I think, from an economical point of view, super interesting. I was too tired for the interview, so Max did the interview with the YouTubers. They're called the Blockchainers. They have to get a YouTube channel focusing on blockchain in Korean. We slept at their place in return for this interview. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening. It was taking 1.5 hours. And after that we went partying. You can see the interview on the internet. I think some of you already saw it. It was a really good interview, I think. Really objective, in detail. Those guys are really they read the sidechain white paper. They were roasting Max. I think he did a good job. We pitched Lisk to other local startups in the Asian region. Also, they pitched ideas to us. This is an app idea they potentially want to do on Lisk. I can't go again in detail of those projects. They work all in stealth mode, but yeah, some people also involved from, let's say, Boscoin project. They were there as well. Yeah, invited for a television program in Seoul together with one of the blockchainers at Coin1. It was cool, and the blockchain labo was in Japan, the third country. Our sort of point of contact. They are doing an amazing job organizing meetups for us in Tokyo, and we had two because the first one was sold out. So we had two in total, over 700 or 800 people. It was absolutely insane. Here you can see it. The questions were just absolutely ridiculous. Spent the whole night making pictures with them. They were super engaged and they didn't speak a word English. So like, it was like presenting, and then here's our translator. She was with us for all the time. And next time we also take our own translator because I want to know what they say among them. Yeah, they translated every sentence. So the whole vibe, if there's a vibe, in the room was completely killed by this. And it's also on YouTube. Again, some of you probably have seen it as well. Presenting together with Max, made pictures, crazy girl on Twitter with tattoos. She came over hours by train. She was from another city than Tokyo. And she made like the logo, the ugly old logo. Yeah, this was the first one. We had the second, another day, another one. And pitch to exchanges, the SDK model, the modularity of the SDK, later about that more. Interviews with local, this is like the economists in Japan. Interview both of us. What is our motivation to work in blockchain? Where do you see Lisk? The general stuff was really cool as an experience for me. Second meetup, we needed the second screen. Halfway is the audience, on the right you can't see it. A lot of traders though, and maybe you can see it. The average age is also quite higher than we expected. A lot of people, there were people from 80 years old plus in the room, throwing a lot of money into cryptocurrencies, including Lisk, and there were some really young, high potential developers as well, raising some different questions than the investors. Never been so tired, absolutely crazy. India, we were sponsoring the conference, first time that we were in Korea, first time in Japan, first time in India. As I said, we already had some connections with China. So we were sponsoring the conference. We also one of the key speakers. The second day, next time we're going to speak on the first day, because after our presentation, we got like a tsunami of people want to meet with us, and we were about to fly back to Berlin. So next time we're going to plan it on the first day in the morning, and then just spend the rest of the conference meeting with people, which is in the end much more valuable than listening to interesting keynotes. Here's some cool pictures. You really see that it starts to evolve into a known cryptocurrency. This was the presentation the second day. It was really cool. Great experience. We met several projects. They are either in the end stage of development or they are still in the idea phase. Most of them try to get more information of the SDK, etc. We already received many of white papers, really in detail already about distribution numbers, etc. The timing even already potentially on the Lisk sidechain. So really cool to see that there was actually already so much interest. All those people come together, so it seems a lot. And if you compare it to the rest of the world, it's still zero. But it's really cool to meet those people also outside Europe. And we bumped into walking around as a tourist. We bumped into this small store, and we were searching for the directions. I said to Max, "Wow, they accept Bitcoin here. How cool!" And then the guy was standing there, just like, "Come in." I was like, "This is probably a scam again." And then we walked into the shop, and his mom was with Blockfolio on the phone trading, and Bittrex was open on the other side, and. She was like, "Oh yeah, Neo goes up and it's super cool." And she was like, come in, do you want to buy a scarf?" And we were like, "Yeah." I'm always branded. I don't know why. Always in the pictures I'm wearing this. Of course, on the Asia tour I was wearing it every day. But it was the only moment we were not wearing the stuff, so they didn't recognize Lisk. So we're like, yeah. And I wanted to buy a scarf for my girlfriend and my mom, because I love scarves. And we were like, "So what do you have? And do you have Lisk or Lisk?" No, I have no Lisk. And Max was like opening his phone. He was like, I will show you what Lisk is. So he was scrolling through, and he entered the team page, and then he was scrolling down, and then she saw our faces on the team page, and he was like, so nice. Fluent English, like super well informed, absolutely super well informed about cryptocurrencies, and yeah, she's now one of our ambassadors in India. I sent her materials, and she's now now our ambassador in Mumbai. So that was a really cool moment of realization. Okay, guys, this can become something really big. So this is the past. Now, what are we working on currently? The present. So, especially going from the Asia tool, we're talking to new exchanges. We have the Core 1.0 release upcoming and other stuff which is highly anticipated. And then we'll tell a bit more about my idea what the future should look like. New exchanges. Well, why was it really important? We saw that around this is like the 2017 timeline. Around this time here, the first spike, yes, external influences or Bitcoin, etc., but also the addition of CoinCheck, one of the biggest Japanese exchanges, and they're the second biggest wallet in the whole network, and it's not so much different with the cold wallet of Poloniex. Poloniex has also a hot wallet, but potentially they become the biggest wallet. And then we have the biggest owner of these tokens in Japan, which is already like an indication for us, okay, first of all, they have a lot of money, but there's also a lot of interest, and especially in Lisk, and I think that's really cool. So another good reason for us to go there, besides all the technological improvements over there. Just for the people that are not aware of it, 1st of September was our all-time high, around $8, $900 million. For the market cap, we soon, hopefully, we are yet to become a unicorn, 1 billion, but I think it's a matter of time. Exchanges, so this is also a piece of the Asia tour, so to show people, okay, where are we listed, so you can buy. As you see, a lot of pairing from China. So China, from the Asia region, China, Japan, directly with fiat currencies for them, and myself are still buying these tokens if I buy them with Bitcoin, not directly. Although there's an option in Poland to buy them directly, but the trading volume is really low, so you probably pay a little premium over that. $10 million approximately trading volume. This will also go up, hopefully. Lisk Core. GitHub says that we have 71% completed. We have 4 issues open. I saw that they are work on it last week, like there's no tomorrow, and it's really soon to be released. We have to be patient with that. And this is also the Core 1.0 forms the basis for the SDK, in the sense that most of the things that will come out of the SDK will be as a clone or a child from our own core. So we take away all the hustle of developing your own blockchain. We offer a toolkit in JavaScript to say, okay, we did all the pain for you, now you can do it in a matter of a couple of clicks. And that's also where the rebranding comes into play, because we focus on accessibility, simplicity, and support. And the SDK is one component which is now really hyped and really probably will have an effect on the price, etc. For us, not so important. We look into the future. And with the rebranding, it's a nice new logo, it's a nice new homepage and whatnot. But the UX is so important. The fact that I have to put in this gas price with Ethereum parity, and then I get clocked when I want to participate in ICO and whatnot. It's just a hustle. And I'm not a developer. I don't know what the pain is to deploy your own smart contract on Ethereum. I know that there are a lot of developers that came to me that said that it is a pain, especially in the Asia region when I was pitching Lisk, and they said, like, when is this coming? So we saw that our strategy or our idea got matched with which actually is happening, and that's really cool. Rebranding, first phase, strategic repositioning. How do we want people to perceive Lisk? I'll wrap up and then we have a break. So how do we want people to perceive Lisk? And this is really important. If I think about Nike, I think about fashionable sport clothing, which are like medium to high priced on average, which has like it's nice fashionable. If you think about any cryptocurrency, you have an idea what the project is, you have an idea where they're located or so, you have an idea where it can go price-wise, but there's no feeling. And I think with Lisk, we're trying to achieve this with relevance. They work with Microsoft, they work with other big firms. The founder of Relevance is a psychologist, so it really helps understand, okay, where do we want to go with Lisk, and how do you communicate this? We had hours of sessions, and this is also when we announced the rebranding in March, people think we start drawing logos in March. And this is not the case. What we do, maybe it's a fault, maybe it's a mistake that we announced it already. What we do is do research. Why? Because all this research goes then to Tyconauten, the designers, and then the designers start drawing a website. And if the designers start drawing a website without having any clue what blockchain is first, and then second, what Lisk is among all those other cryptocurrencies, how can we ever come up with a website which is so fitting to our strategy and our future? So those sessions are therefore, we are here identifying our stakeholders, putting stickers on what in this case Oliver here, our CTO co-founder, thinks is most appropriate. Then we got back like a whole ecosystem, including you guys. And yeah, we know this. I mean, we are Lisk ourselves, but if this goes to developer and we put it like on the screen many times, okay, guys, how is this page relevant or generates value for this group? How is this page for the other group? Do we miss a group? Do we miss another page for another group? Maybe we don't want to focus on other people than developers. Maybe it's developer only, but maybe we then leave out some entrepreneurs who are really willing to build on Lisk but have not the developer skills for it. So it's a lot of thinking. More sessions, even already. Christian, the Relevance founder, already printed out some potential press releases to give a really practical understanding about where it should or could go. Marketing sessions, post-its with all the opportunities we can go, putting them on the timeline. And then we have the Lisk story. It's kind of a mission statement, but it's going to be adjusted slightly. So in a world where only developers with a very special profile, let's say Ethereum with Solidity, can create blockchain applications currently, Lisk provides or will provide access, support, and inspiration in the form of great tools, the SDK, to anyone who wants to realize the opportunity of blockchain technology. And this is something, we know this, but if somebody joins our team, it's really good to have everybody on the same page, that people read this in their onboarding process, and also our contractors. Pictures. I have to speed up a bit. Is it? How much time do I have? An hour, right? Okay. So yeah, that is translating to what do you want to focus on? Enablement, inspiration. One side, enablement is really SDK, and inspiration is more the use case side of it. We would like to later more about that, but create like a platform where people can interact with each other, come up with use cases, maybe even potentially meet your own future co-founders. How does this brand strategy translate into the tone of voice? So if you think, okay, we want to be perceived as powerful, we want to be perceived as uncomplicated and inspiring, how does this translate into a visual design? To give you a bit of an understanding how that would look like, then the website. Enablement, opportunity, reliability were the brand signals. I don't want to go too much in detail. It should just breathe inspiration and enablement. I can't repeat it often enough. We do it ourselves on a daily basis. This is the summary. So we are fighting against the creation elite to take away the barriers as much as possible, give that access, give that support and inspiration. And it comes along with the noble purpose of bringing the benefits of blockchain to everyone. So the first phase is done. As you can see, the slides, these were like the final slides. Second phase, well, ending stages, UX strategy and creative rebranding. And this is the whole Tyconauten team a couple of months ago. Not everybody's working on Lisk, obviously, but a good share of them. All part-time. Sometimes it's only an illustrator, sometimes it's a UX designer. It really depends. Walls full of brainstorming and to make it's really German. It's really German. It's like a lot of thinking without doing, and then later we're going to do something which is directly right. We hope at least. More and more sessions with our UX concept designer. Other sessions with them, also UX design, mapping out together with Max with post-its, again, the whole ecosystem, how things work, even like key, how does this, sometimes it's, if you have a wallet and you have like transactions, in the case of like ING in the Netherlands, you know that you're logged in when you see the transactions, right, because it's your account, or at least you know how to get to an account. In blockchain, everybody can see your transactions, right, because it's anonymous towards a certain extent. So how from a UX point of view, how do we make this that it looks like it's mine or not, without that there's a step of logging in, or in this case, filling in your passphrase. So it's like things that the designers never have had to battle against or think of. And this is something more from a business perspective, UX perspective, an enormous challenge. And what I said, we put up here this ecosystem map to show them which stakeholders are the most important. So phase one, strategic repositioning, and phase two, UX strategy and creative rebranding. Then maybe a short break before we go into the SDK. Yeah? Until now, I hope everybody that is drinking his beverages. Until now, it was more like a high-level overview. What is Lisk? A bit more about like super not detailed overview of the products, a bit of the Asia tour, rebranding, which is currently happening, and now a bit more for the developers in detail, what is upcoming with the SDK, etc. I try to still, like, from a perspective of a marketeer, not a developer, but I think I satisfy your needs. So first, okay, what is a blockchain application? It consists of three parts. So first, database, backend, the logic, and the user interface. So really brief, okay, what is it? And we're going to provide a complete package, including all the necessary tools for development and deployment. And I already said it to a bunch of people before, the SDK is just the beginning. I mean, it's a tool set, and especially the pre-alpha version will be just to play around with. Later about that more. It's not something which you already can deploy your sidechain with. And once you can do that, it also doesn't stop there. Then we have, with the rebranding, an accessible platform where in a matter of clicks, you can deploy your sidechain and also do your ICO, manage the ICO in a way that everybody can do it. And I think that's currently lacking the most. There are applications on Ethereum, etc., but this is absolutely new. And again, it's part of the rebranding. So, modular SDK ecosystem next year goes full out probably. Even the first ICOs, I mean, that's at least prediction, definitely possible. Focus on 4 components: flexibility, scalability, accessibility, and security. Oliver Beddoes, our CTO, is absolutely the test king. He tests everything. Security is by far the most thing. If our network gets hacked once, then we're done. It's absolutely over. You cannot, no trust. We have seen examples in the past. It's running now. It didn't have major bugs. We are finding a lot of small bugs before other people find out, and we have patch releases in order to do so. And every morning, as I said, at 9:30, we have a stand-up, and then people tell each other what they're up to, and then at least a couple of developers, they make jokes. Today I'm going to do more functional tests, or today I'm going to do more, I don't know what kind of tests. The developers know better, I think. And you can see it back in GitHub. There's a huge activity going on GitHub. We're one of the most active ones on GitHub. Security is really important. And then accessibility blends a bit in together with, okay, it's a tool set, which is JavaScript, so it's more accessible for other people than, let's say, Solidity. It's more scalable because it's a modular system. And I think this is the key component, it's modular. So the first thing, flexibility, at least like the full release. Let's say I can't tell, okay, which components will be included in which release, full release. Let's say consensus algorithm. At the very first beginning, you will, as I said, you will make a clone of the core. So you will also clone our consensus algorithm, which is delegated proof of stake. So you have to find your own 101 delegates at first, copy yourself with 101s, super centralized. I think there are a lot of people waiting to become part of this system. If it's a sidechain / application which has a lot of future, there are queues probably of people, also among us, including myself, that are willing to secure the network by running a full node for that application. Because if it explodes, like what you see with Lisk, they have a lot of financial benefit from it. So a lot of customizability regarding consensus accounts, block size, transaction types, everything. This is really cool. It's really difficult. Definitely not in the beginning, but later on. Scalability, scalable network, APIs, deploying via the CLI, the command line interface, deploying your own DevNet to test things out. Much more scalable than what we currently see in the industry, and much more accessible. As I said, not only the toolkit, but also guides, examples, documentation. It is more the inspiring part of the brand strategy. I think it will be really cool if we can create a platform on our website where we have not only guest writers for like a guest blog or something, but also that we have a sort of matching system where we bring people together and they exchange best practices, the exchange. And let's say, well, real estate examples. Maybe there are people here in the audience who think, okay, that's a really good or cool use case. I mean, internally, we already have a lot of interest. Gaming is a big topic. I mean, we're developers in the end, most of us. So yeah, if we're going to internally make applications on Lisk, that will either be together with an institution or a government or a company, which gives us a lot of credit, later about that more, or it could be that we are interested in the industry ourselves, which is then gaming or so. I have a business background, so for me, supply chain is an absolute cool industry to optimize the blockchain. So yeah, templates, guidelines. I already mentioned it, ICO suite. So best practices for ICOs. Max gets daily requests on like your best practices. What did you do wrong? What things would you do differently? And I think that for me, that's what I communicated also in the beginning. The SDK is just a small component. Like, yeah, also you can give somebody a pen and say like, write a book, and I have no clue what a letter is. That doesn't make any sense for me. You need examples, you need guidance, and Lisk is not a guidance by itself. You need proper documentation. That's also where the academy comes into play. Yeah, and security, emphasize on security. The bridge between sidechains, the bridge between sidechains and the main chain, later more about it as well. I already mentioned it, CLI, running scripts to easily deploy your own DevNet to play around with. This, especially in the beginning phase, will be important. Going back to the previous visualization, next step is will be a sidechain network, or networks, I have to say, next to the main chain, all made possible by this SDK, which has the link then. It's a clone exact copy, but then easier than what we did and the pain we went through. Server plus sidechain core is sidechain node. And again, in the beginning will be the same consensus algorithm, and this will evolve over time as well. So it's again really high level, and then applications built on those sidechain nodes. And then the most important part is connection between those two, because we know that Lisk and Bitcoin are two blockchains, all nice, but there's no way you can send your Lisk tokens to the blockchain of Bitcoin and the other way around, right? And this is something really important in our industry, and goes a bit more in detail in technically wise. So how are we achieving this connection? And we are currently in the phase of this. And for me, it's super hard to get it. I will try to explain it. It all comes down to not having the same token on the same moment on both chains. So one of the options, what we could do, what is considered, or what has been considered, is you have the tokens on the main chain as running as a backbone, as a financial token, and the other ones as a utility token. And what happens if you want to send this, first you do your ICO on the, could be, yeah? First you do an ICO on the main chain, you get the funds, and then what happens is the amount of tokens you had in mind to deploy in your sidechain will be created by locking away the tokens on the main chain and opening it up on the sidechain. When you send it back, same thing. So you lock the tokens on the sidechain, you open them up on the main chain. The problem here is forks. If something like a block irregulation or a fork happens, you need a sort of buffer in order to make it sure that nothing goes wrong. And this is super hard challenge. This potentially could mean that it takes up to, in the worst case, a couple of days before tokens get transferred. And that comes with other problems we have to face. So how can we make it possible? And we have, of course, we're going to see examples of other big developments on, let's say, Bitcoin and etc. as an example. And in our case, we have a different consensus algorithm, so it's still a different case, but it's going to be a challenge to make this buffer as short as possible without guaranteeing the highest level of security, like what we preach along the way so much. Yeah, I want to leave it related to this here now. So ecosystem of sidechains, this is important. So it's not all those sidechains, and also like how does a Lisk token, for a lot of traders here, really important, how does my token become more worth over time? Because, I mean, it's related, but it's also not related because it's separate blockchain. And what if a sidechain is so popular that it outperforms the main chain? What happens then with my token? So is there security that my token, my Lisk token, becomes more worth when I am invested in the blockchain, which is the underlying backbone? Try to explain it a bit more. So main chain network, sidechains around it, right? That's the beginning. And if I simplify this image in blocks, you get the connections, as I just mentioned, between the main chain and the side chains. And the most important part is interoperability between side chains. Next step, next phase. So we have a music application with the music token or the Spotify coin or however it will be called in the future. It would be amazing if you then can have a communication with another app. Let's say you have a privacy app. You want to communicate that with, I don't know, an airplane app, and you want to check in or so, that two of those side chains works together with each other. And I think this is something which is further on the timeline, and the connection between both chains will happen on the same way as at first with the main chain. And I think that especially for the security component, it will be important that we limit the features as much as possible until we're 100% sure that we can guarantee our users that it is safe. And one of the main features or the benefits of the sidechain ecosystem is if something fucks up, somebody messes around with it wrongly, because it's not on the main chain like in the case of Ethereum, it doesn't fuck up the rest of the system. And this is something important because you have JavaScript. So yes, there are going to be a lot of projects and probably also a lot of bad projects. Bad managed, it could be scams, it could be everything. And we cannot, it's open source and we preach open source. We cannot have a quality assurance and quality control of which sidechains will be deployed later on. This is something which is important. And yeah, let's say, so it's an example of Max. What if Mercedes wants to have their smart contract on Ethereum, and then we have Pornhub on the other side, also wants a smart contract for porn coin. Those two, they won't want to be on the same chain. And this is something which you don't always realize. This is a new industry. This is something completely new. These are things we're going to face in the future. And this system, it's a stupid example, but this system at least avoids that. And also, we have three sort of chains. Like we have a public chain, a private chain, and you have like a hybrid version, like a in-between version. So like a voting system could be that the government chooses who can vote, like one time per person, but still all the voting isn't open for the big public. So you have like a hybrid version. It's controlled by a centralized institution. In this case, it could be a government. Completely private. Could be a sidechain just isolated for a supply chain company who wants to optimize their supply chains, or it could be completely open sidechain, as we currently see with many, like a prediction market, for instance. And the thing is that because you need this consensus at first with 101 delegates, those sidechains also need a certain size in order to make sense for those delegates to secure it. And this is so, it's only like, let's say a prediction market is an application where you have a lot of people involved, so it makes absolute sense for a sidechain. But for smaller ones, like so let's say a private one, it's not the blockchain we preached, the blockchain technology we preached in the beginning, and it's just utilizing our technology for a private solution. And I think that we should not eliminate also this private blockchain solution, although it doesn't give us this ecosystem idea we are hoping for. But we see that big companies are messing around with OpenLedger, Hyperledger, all kinds of solutions which are semi-optimized, and they're not real blockchain solutions. At least not to the extent we're aiming for. And I think that we should actively, in the beginning, we cannot be too arrogant and say people will come to us. We have to actively show people this is a use case, you need this. And there are not only some applications that are just better centralized. And I think that we should go to a strategy for at least my team where we show other people like this is you need this, and this for this reason, and this is how it optimizes it, and this is why it is better. Because people have no understanding, at least you know it or you're open to get to know it. And I think a lot of people have this idea of this dark web with Bitcoin in their mind still. And I think if we really want to break open this public adoption, this is one of the challenges we are facing currently. Then this comes into play. So Academy and video strategy both fully responsible. I'm fully responsible for it with the team. Academy focuses on accessibility, so we want to take people from zero to hero. Not only focused on Lisk, as it shouldn't be an advertisement, it should be that you can send your little sister there, and she can read through it. And yes, it's a high-level English, and it's not easy blockchain technology, but we're going to size it down as much as possible on a understandable level with icons, illustrations. Maybe later, maybe not initially. We want to launch it as soon as possible. First in text format, maybe later also with animation videos. We're working on it. This is the second thing, video strategy. We see the video. If you open your Facebook feed, it's only videos anyways. Video is the shit. videos, everything, not for SEO, but you can track it and at least not find it over Google. Well, in a different way, but not with the content like you can do with the Academy. The video strategy is really the future, and I think that for us, our YouTube channel is the most undervalued channel we're currently working on. And with the 2 video production companies we have, and probably a third one will join, or yeah, we're going to make this video strategy a really recurring strategy of maybe weekly videos about what are we doing behind the scenes, who is this developer, what is he working on, much more transparency. And I think if we say that we are one of the most transparent project in the industry, and then still we have people, yeah, it's the minority, complain that we have no proper dev roadmap, that we are not transparent about the rebranding, while we post whole timelines with the months, what we did in those months, that we still need to achieve that everybody's happy. And I think those videos will give a bit more inside information where we're heading, and I think it will be a bit broken open in the next year. I already said it to Joost, now there are like a lot of like stealth things like the rebranding, and people like they like it because the price goes up, and next year there will be a constant like readjustments of the SDK. Much more open and transparent way of working together with our community, also with the new community manager. So covered most of the things we're working on are in the present. I hope I covered a bit more than what you can find on Reddit or Twitter or whatever. Is that the case?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or we can talk about many more things afterwards. I will always have a bit of time limit. I can talk for hours. We still have a lot to talk about. I don't have that many slides with it. It's just how I see the future. There's nothing which is now written in paper or in stone, I say. Grassroots effort. This is basically what we did last week with the ambassador program. We opened it open, we broke it open, so no country ambassadors anymore. Everybody can become an ambassador. Fits to the strategy, fits to the evolving ecosystem, like I said, with the sidechains, decentralized exchange. So when those tokens are interoperable, it would be absolutely amazing if there's also a decentralized exchange where you can exchange all those tokens. I can already say that the wallet will have a feature where you can not only see the Lisk, but you can also see the sidechain tokens. And we have to move away from the Lisk is so much dollar. I know we are also traders, but Lisk is a token of the future, and I think we should think about token as in I can do something with one Lisk, and not one Lisk is $5. So we should think in trading pairs of one Lisk is so much D-app coins, and I think the wallet will help with that process also to reach that future, but it's pretty far still. I already mentioned it briefly, the ICO suite. That's sort of best practices regarding ICOs. We have a bounty fund. This is, I think, a bit less than 4 million tokens at the moment. I think some of you know better. This is solely reserved for supporting community members in any kind of way. So pay them when they do a great job. This will be the next year as well. More and more focus on that. But also, if somebody has this crazy idea, but he has not the funds to do his ICO, who'll be preparing the ICO or finding a new foundation or etc. We need guidance for this. Again, if you give somebody the pen, but you don't give him an empty book, how can he ever start writing that book? And I think that's important. And this comes together with this thoughtful leader. Currently, we're lacking a lot already a regulation question here. We're lacking just regulatory input, like knowledge. People come to us, what's going to happen with this and this? We need to take away every barrier. It's not only this toolkit, it's also saying, guys, this country has an amazing ecosystem, amazing structure. In our case, it's Switzerland. They have years of experience in the financial services, and they're doing an amazing job for us. But as I said, MME, our legal partner, is super selective at the moment. They are queuing up for all those ICOs in front of their office. Now they deviate towards Singapore or other havens for cryptocurrencies, but we need to take those barriers away as well, because it's still far away from reality. This is a thoughtful leader. Focus on utility, partnerships, satellite offices, incubators, and we'll discuss this later. So, rebranded website, wallet, and Explorer. And I already mentioned the wallet will be integrated with the Explorer onto the website, again, to focus on the new brand accessibility and outstanding UX. Then we have the blockchain SDK written in JavaScript for development of sidechains, and then the last step, the application platform, and currently it's just a website. And we're saying, yeah, Lisk is a blockchain application platform. Where's the platform component? There's nothing to platform. There's no interaction whatsoever. And this is then the step next year. Blockchain application platform. And I think that now people have maybe bookmarked the Lisk.io website, but there's nothing going on there that much. And I think we will track it, of course. We will see it through analytics, etc. We want people to stay in the website as a whole ecosystem, as a sort of seamless experience, that they maybe make it their homepage, and then they go onto the homepage or to the section where they can manage their decentralized applications or manage their ICO when they are in their ICO period, all in one window without leaving the website. And then we are talking about the platform we promised you guys 1.5 years ago or more. And that includes the points I already mentioned, with the blockchain app catalog included, very late stage, and interoperability between blockchains. This will slowly evolve along with the releases of the SDK. So this all mapped out in a visualized, this needs to go very fast, visualized matter. So we have the Lisk token, Lisk course built on top of it, provides the SDK, on top of it sidechains, interoperability between sidechains, on top of it the sidechain token, ICO suite in order to provide people with that coin, and provide them with the services, decentralized exchange, token exchange between the Lisk token and its sidechain tokens. And here also the component of demand comes into play when people of the sidechain development do ICOs and they accept Lisk tokens. Then the demand for Lisk goes up as a platform, what you see with Ethereum currently. And this will only increase when we have a decentralized exchange, emphasizing that. And of course, like the apps with the app catalog. I know it's still a lot of promises and a lot of future music, if that's English. But yeah, I think that this whole thing is completely realized next year. I already mentioned it, thoughtful leader. Focus on utility. I love ICOs. I made a lot of money with ICOs, but I hate the current lack of focus on utility. And I think that the problem, the economy, I read an article about in the economy, I think on Saturday, and they said like, the reason why Bitcoin goes up is because the majority of the people that buy now Bitcoin think that they can sell Bitcoin on a later moment for a higher price to somebody else. This is like the definition of a bubble. It's nothing to do with the utility and nothing to do with what can I do with it. It's nothing to do that this Canadian institution accepts futures in Bitcoin, nothing to do with it at all. It's all about making money. They're like families jumping into Bitcoin. They're selling, there's a Dutch guy, right, in the Wilderdorp, selling his whole, he made a shitload of money, yes. But it's not about utility. He didn't say, oh, I'm going to buy all my food with Bitcoin next year. No, he said, I'm going to make money with it. And yes, of course, he has other motives as well to do so. But we don't want to call ourselves a cryptocurrency for that reason. I think cryptocurrency names should go away and we should talk about crypto assets or tokens or utility tokens, how we prefer it. This is a switch. This is going to be difficult because a lot of our community members, including today, are financially incentivized. And they might transfer, or there are developers and transform into other contributors, not in a financial way, but also with their skills as a developer. But we should sort of push for it as much as possible. And that's, I think, the second point. The value will come anyways. If the internet bubble was there, and a lot of companies that became rich out of the internet bubble were also based on the model that they don't directly make money with the website, but if there's just a lot of traffic on it, the value increases anyways. And it may be through advertising, or that's just a component of it. And we believe that it still has to be proven. I mean, Ethereum is a good example, but Ethereum works a bit differently. It's also still pretty early phase. We believe that utility goes up in the system, and then the value trickles down into the platform. So you have like 3 layers: application, protocol, and platform layers. And we will go up to the level of protocols, and probably like a bit of applications like what I mentioned. But the top level is up to you guys. And yeah, is what we believe.
Those are Bitcoins tricking down, right?
Yeah, it's really bad chosen. It's not Bitcoin, it's just a random icon website. I just popped in some coins, but a good point. I will change it. But we also, as I said, we don't want to be seen as a coin, and I have a graph of only coins. It's also stupid. But I will change it. It's an old slide I made. So how can we achieve this? I think that with partnerships. I think that if you show people, look, we are developing an application together with Harvard, battling interoperability between medical healthcare records. I think that if this will become public, I met him in Mumbai, he's willing to do so. He already mentioned an hackathon with MIT and Harvard. Absolutely ridiculously cool. Why? Because they bring a lot of credit to the table, and we bring a lack of knowledge and of blockchain knowledge to the table. And I think this is a clash of two really good companies that have their like synergy benefiting from each other. And then instead of having hypothetical cases on the new website or in the academy, we can say, listen, we're doing it as we speak. And this is really cool. And this is again, if you go back to the brand, always a circle is round, then again to the inspiration part of the brand strategy. Look, this inspires people because this has a name. We know Harvard, all of us know Harvard, because it has a name, and we will have that same name for a blockchain solution in the future. And I think that's really cool. That's why we want to match ourselves with those guys. And we have now a warm connection with him, and he's super motivated to start out with Lisk. And yeah, I have the same question when is the king coming? Yeah, so it's a good example to talk about partnerships. There are also some that don't want to be mentioned, or like if they're working stealth mode. This is more like the ideation phase, as I mentioned in the Asia tour. We had already a lot of white papers. And those white papers were super detailed. So they are basically in the starting blocks to start out coding. And then the bounty fund, I mentioned it's almost 4 million tokens. We also will support the first high potential ICOs on Lisk, because we all know that the first ICOs on Lisk will probably also kind of influences the outcome and the success of the platform in the long run. And that's why it is important that if we see that this app has a lot of potential, either with a partner, with a accredited firm or accredited institution, or a good cause, a non-profit institution like Lisk is, we are ourselves, then we want to support this. I will support it with my whole marketing team. We're going to support it with financials, with the bounty fund, and we will support it with endorsement, either in the app catalog, later stage, or in the beginning stage through our social channels, to really focus on those use cases, really like doing stuff rather than, ICO, yeah, it's nice, but it shouldn't be the future. And this all melts together with the satellite offices and incubators. I discussed this already with Joost as well. China is not the best anymore looking into regulation, but again, it can change really fast. The team will sit together for sure. We're not going to put the team somewhere else. This will be Berlin probably for next years. I can be quite sure about that. But the thing is that it's not called a sales office, but like a satellite office where we do business development. And it could be that we have our marketing teams expanding. It's not to preach necessarily like our core, it's necessarily to preach the SDK sidechain development. So that let's say that in the Middle East they say, we have this, the government has this use case, they're highly focused on blockchain, like they're focused with all the new technologies. You need to say, guys, we want you to come over to show us how to do it on Lisk. They bring in the money and the idea and the industry. Then you might open an office based on where the most demand comes from. And I think the United States is a really obvious choice, so I think in New York is a pretty obvious next move. Asia, depending on the emerging interest from the Asian region. And I think that we should also just focus on Europe. I mean, it's better to conquer the Netherlands and Germany and Poland first and have their amazing use cases and examples, which we then can show, again, inspiration to the people that now believe in Neo, and then they will make the jump instead of focusing on India, which is so big and we have no clue where we're going. And then in the end, yeah, it's nice, but then we get overtaken by other platforms that have actually use cases. Because I think that even if you're a trader and you believe in the coin going up, if you see actually a use case and actually an application built on top of it and it's working, I think that's the best incentive to buy a coin, in this case like this. Incubators, that's like the next step then. If somebody's willing to open an office, either from our team or from the community, again, we go further than the SDK. We provide office space. We provide maybe guidances how to set up your own business, or in our case, maybe a foundation. But we need to acquire much more knowledge. So I see it happening that we're going to hire later on, or we will, mathematicians to support protocol building, protocol design. We hire maybe lawyers to support with this part of everything. Because again, if you don't support on everything, then it will not happen in the end. I think it's really important as well. I think this is a wrap up, sort of being so long. So, one of the biggest teams in the industry, one of the most active developed projects on GitHub, based on the most popular programming language in the whole world, JavaScript. World-class contractors, I lost count, I think 8 or so. More than $120 million currently, with current pricing, of course, always. Funding directly available and secured in Switzerland. I get paid in euros, fortunately, because I have to pay my apartment in euros. Doesn't mean that I don't liquidate them all for cryptocurrencies directly, but we need also a fiat currency. So what we do is we have, Max and Oliver just came back from Zug in Switzerland, and they liquidate crypto assets up to an extent that we can finance operations for 5 years. And as I said, we have a burn rate of like lower than 1 million a year. So yeah, there's no end on the horizon, money-wise, but on the assumption that Bitcoin stays the same or goes up, which is obviously could be the case, but we are not sure about it. Plus the fact that we have no money incoming. We're non-profit. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we got all the funding in the very beginning of our project, and we have to deal with all this. And our burn rate will go up. We are hiring more and more contractors. We're hiring more people that all need to get paid. We'll hire talents, so it also costs a lot of money. Yeah, we're expanding offices, so there's a lot of things that cost more money, and especially for marketing. But more about this the 22nd of November. We're going to spend much more on several factors. Because yeah, we're going to spend more, but we still have a lot of money. Rapidly growing community with tremendous support. Thanks, guys, again. Amazing. We're not doing enough in return. I realize this. We will do this for sure. It's one of my tasks as well. Emerging interest from Asia region. I mentioned it several times, especially Japan currently. Also, the regulations are quite positive in contrast to Korea and China. And again, focus on simplicity, scalability, and security. And I mentioned it now 20 times, but I really want to say it so often because this is our brand strategy, this is what we're aiming for, and we have this on the wall in the office. True long-term strategy, connected to the 8th point. We are now hiring a lot of people, and we are like, our team in Berlin is like between 25 and 30. There are people about to sign and start out. But those people need to be worked in. And if you think of my team, there are now 6 people, and soon it will be 8 people. And my job now consists more of more hiring and briefing them about what I'm doing with you guys. And it takes a lot of time away. And this is why we need an office manager. This is why we need an HR person. So much the focus is on the important stuff. On the other stuff, which as a founder you should do, strategy, partnerships, hiring top mathematicians to really push it forward. I think we are a startup, and this is what I said in the beginning. We are not like some pump and dump. I mean, it's easy to say, but I really believe this. We're not a pump and dump. It's like a whole team really starting out, playing table tennis with each other, creating Max has sessions with our brand strategy about company culture. It's a real company. I mean, if we are going to fight each other over money, what happens with Tezos as we speak, then there's no long-term strategy, and this is always super underestimated, I think. This goes further than the money. Because they have money. They have 250 million and they're still not capable of getting their heads together. Money makes people differently. And having fun. As I said, we have fun together. We go party together. This creates a strong culture and to achieve nice things. And I think this is it. It was already pretty long ago. Time flies. We're now at 70K, but we want to celebrate something like a milestone, at least for the support. Show that we really appreciate it. Again, we need to support even more. So get involved. I know that there are a couple of questions, people asking like, how can we contribute? I think I mentioned already a couple of things. Like, first thing is like ambassador program. The second thing is contacting with us, offering your services over email, or reach out to us on those channels, like our posts, and later come up with use cases on our platform, etc. So I hope this covers most of the unclarities some of you have, and I hope that gives a bit of a personal sort of touch and a personal view, insight into what we are doing in Berlin and what we are up to with Lisk. This is it. Thank you. Questions now? Questions? Yep. because it's always me talking a lot. And yes.
Yeah, maybe one question about the side chains. So they're pegged to the main chain, and you basically burn them or you store them on the main chain to become available on the side chain. But does that mean that every side chain will always be one-on-one pegged with Lisk?
Good question. I don't have the answer. Yes, probably. Yeah. So we can either lock in a weighted locking thing or creating a burning, right? So they're two different things. I don't know. I am not a developer. Honestly, I don't know technically what the difference would be if you go for one or the second one. It is a really tough discussion. And what you said is true. But we also think, again, about accessibility, user experience, is that it should not be visible. If the tokens are locked away, in the case of this option, it should not be visible for people, these tokens. So they're locked away, they're also for the viewer outside the system. Yeah.
If I want to develop an app right now, can I already choose Lisk, or should I have to wait for the SDK?
Well, you can choose for us and then wait.
Now?
No. What you can do is no, nothing. You have to wait. We want to push the pre-alpha as fast as possible, and then you can play around with it, have a feeling for what it could be, and then with the rebranding, we have the door slightly open for this app management story. So what could happen, not sure if I'm even allowed to say it, is that already in the pre-alpha version, you can register your name and have a look how the clicks will be deploying your sidechain from like a more business perspective, right? Development happens with SDK itself when the alpha or beta version will be released.
Okay, so if I want to start right now or in the next month, I have to select another like
Yes. Well, yeah, depends how long you have time. But if you want to start now, then we don't have SDK now. But yeah, I can't say when it will happen. But then again, it's also not the full release, so it depends on how much time you have. So there are question, yeah.
Maybe how dependent are the apps on the main chain? If everybody leaves Lisk for another next thing, how certain am I that my app for a certain company will still work?
Yeah, good question. So on one side, we want to have the ecosystem where everything is interoperable, but on the other side, you want to have, well, we are open source and freedom, and so what will happen is hopefully you can promote your sidechain token so much that it will be available for purchase on an exchange or so, either decentralized Lisk exchange or another decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange. This is from a more like an investment token point of view. From a development point of view, is you have your complete own blockchain. So if we die for whatever reason, what is contrary to the thing I showed you, but it's an assumption, we don't have comparable situations in the very past. It doesn't harm it. No.
You become less secure because less people hosting it.
No, so this consensus algorithm will be adopted, but you in the very first case you also adopt the fact that you need 101 people to secure a network, but that could be different people than the one our network is secured by.
Yeah, okay.
So
depends on the success of your own blockchain.
Sorry?
It depends on the success of your own.
Yes, exactly. And if you say later on, okay, now the feature gets unlocked that you can change your consensus algorithm and you feel really like proof of work, then go for proof of work. Yeah, if that is something we would like to achieve. I even see that we have different types of protocols and consensus algorithms in the future where you can choose from. And then maybe even people come up with them themselves, open source. So there can be plugins being written by many people that say, I want to have this tweak. And now people start using my tweak for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not a developer.
Would it be possible to have sidechains, form sidechains?
Yes, in theory, yes. But it's in the end a bit the same because there's no absolute connection. So I don't see why that should work. Yes, smart contracts could work on a sidechain. That's more. But yeah, I don't see why you should have a sidechain on a sidechain. Could be two versions. Could be like what I said, a hybrid version or a private one, or complete open and one that is half closed or so. Yeah, this is where the creativity also from the creators comes into play, together with what we provide as the features and the technology. Yeah, it's always bound and restricted.
What is currently the biggest obstacle to overcome? Or are there any, is there any kind of showstop you can think of, or is everything figured out and ready to go?
Well, what we just addressed,
Yeah, okay.
this is an important hurdle. From the SDK, you mean?
Anything.
Well, I think regulation is really important as well. Regulation is going to be played an important part. Lack of trust. I think lack of trust as well. I think winning trust to put your money and your time and effort into it is still pretty difficult. I have so many, but I don't have on top of mind. But mainly related, I would say the main hurdles are still related to the SDK. I would say, how are we going to make this what I just sketched out? We can come a long way. That's for sure. That's already proven. But
Is it
how
just
far can we?
is it just a matter of picking the best solution, or is it still
As in solution, as in what?
the kind of approach you can take?
I don't understand the question that much, but I mean, so I think that we're going to start out, right, and then you get feedback from the community. We get feedback regulation-wise from governments or so, and it's just an agile process. We are doing agile development. We have sprints of 1 week, so it will be okay. Let's change it due to the environmental external influences we have at that moment, and this can be like business or regulation, or it can be technology. And I don't know what you mean with different solutions.
To create the token exchange between sidechain and main chain. You said one of the solutions is to lock it up.
Yeah, exactly. This is the winning one.
Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? Talk so long progress.
So a question about last year in March, there was a blog post about partnership with Microsoft.
Yeah.
On Lisk and Azure platform.
Yeah.
It's been quite shiny.
Ja, nou that's iets waar we een nieuw leven moeten blazen. I don't know how to say it. This honestly helped us a lot in the time of the ICO. Around that time, Microsoft saw a lot of potential in it. Listed Lisk at the Azure program. Currently, there is no actual benefit from it as we speak.
Is that because Lisk is focusing on ICOs and startups and not so much on enterprise adoption?
Yeah, that's kind of the sort of the how you say the image we have, and that is also the vision of Max and Oliver to go really for that one developer in the basement kind of idea, rather than helping Microsofts. I think also those corporates already have their teams already sorted out. They have the money, they have the power, so they're experimenting with it. I don't say they would consider Lisk. That's not the focus. Yeah, no, that has nothing to do with it, but it's another discussion. Yeah, we are open to work together with Microsoft, absolutely, but it's just not the focus currently. I think it's too early to start partnering up with big firms before we can actually show some. We have no product out yet, so it's ridiculous how far we are on some parts without having an actual product. Yeah.
The work on the SDK, will it be fully open and will we be able to follow it on GitHub, or is there already a work in progress somewhere private and will it more be a big bang release?
Yeah, so what I can tell you about it is that there's working in not on GitHub, you don't see anything, of course. So in stealth mode it's created for a couple of reasons, a couple of obvious reasons as well. The first elements will be, it's open source, so it's going to be public, yeah. Especially next year, it's a modular system, so we would like you to come up with additions to our. It's sort of like a team-based effort between community and Lisk. I also think that in a couple of years, I work on other things than Lisk. I mean, we're building this silly definition of the Internet of Blockchain solution, and then it's there and it's up and running, and together we can start building nice stuff on top of it, like the Internet. We will let it go. Lisk is not going to be like Microsoft, which has like thousands of employees. Potentially could be, but I don't see that happening. I see a lot of underlying applications with a lot of people. or protocol designers. Or, yeah.
Maybe another question about scalability. Often heard the comparison between Ethereum and the Visa network, the number of transactions that are done on the Visa network. What kind of scalability or transaction speed can we expect from this?
Okay, so again, I'm not a developer, but I know that so first of all, we have a change in fee structure, potentially change in consensus algorithm, and this can incline that there will also be a change in, let's say, block size or so. We can go bigger than we are now, but there's no need to have bigger blocks, for instance, or a higher frequency block time. So it's technically possible. We already calculated to which extent we can make it still make it fast and secure, etc., and how far we can go with this. This is also why the sidechains battle so much against the scalability problem, because if you have all those scalability problems on Ethereum in one chain versus us having like the backbone and only our whole blockchain only for that, and then every individual, as I said, it's full blockchain which the sidechain is running. So potentially, if the sidechain becomes so big, then we have a scalability problem. But at least it eliminates the scalability problem for the next months, or I don't know how fast it goes. But at least we already see with Ethereum how bad it sometimes can go. So if you scatter it out over different blockchains, then you solve it. But you need more people to secure it in the case of delegated proof of stake. It's linksom of Rexel. Any other questions?
What do you expect the price on this game? What the marketing bit, so
that's all I know. If I would know, then no. 2020.
But
why should I know? Always people say you're the marketing lead, so you should know. Why? And then I think developers know better.
Expectation.
I don't know. We get this question so often. I don't know. Okay, so what I said in Asia, we're going to facilitate more ICOs than Ethereum, if it helps you.
Okay.
I don't know, like this, if we can figure it out, and also in time and everything, we're still early. I mean, there's still not much of super high quality out there. You see applications like Augur prediction market, which is already in the race for a while, going down and down. And I hope that Ethereum is the Nokia and we're the Apple. And I don't know, really don't know. It could be, I don't want to say a number. I don't know, I'm holding.
Fair enough.
No links is better.
Huh?
We have to know.
Yeah, okay, 5,000. Clearly, you heard my story about not finance. I don't want to focus on financial incentivize people, right? Now, you should start building your application, and then you get rich by itself if you do it right. And it shouldn't be an incentive that much. I mean, yes, it is the case, and we see the Bitcoin happening as we speak. I think today another all-time high. Yep, I hear confirmation, but I don't know. It could also, like, if you talk about like competition with Qtum and Neo and Status and other platforms, could have a similar path as Lisk is going, or like battling against Ethereum. And it could be that there are a couple of solutions out there. It's like Pepsi and Cola. I mean, it could be like the front runner will stay Ethereum for eternity, and then Lisk becomes the second or third or fifth platform. And of course, we want to become the biggest, and that's why we have this JavaScript, etc. But if we become the fifth one in the whole world, and blockchain is going to be big, then my goal is achieved as well. So
Will it also be easier to buy Lisk, like less independent, like buy it from, like, example in Holland, like Bitonic, for example, or Coinbase, and then to Bittrex, and Bittrex buy Lisk? Will be like in future, like just buy Lisk with fiat?
Yeah, so if it was up to us, again, accessibility, so it's not accessible at the moment. And so we have this, we are working on it.
Okay.
This is something out of our reach. We cannot like offer with Ideal to pay. That's currently not possible. So with this Bitcoin Swiss, that's the company that liquidates for us cryptocurrencies, provides liquidity to exchanges, etc. Those potentially could be like as a buffer between you and Lisk to buy tokens more directly, and it could be like through a stupid centralized solution like PayPal.
Alright.
Yeah, it's something which maybe this the first step. So to get the big public on board, you offer this centralized solution.
Yeah. Because there's possibilities like in Holland, like Lightbit.
Yeah,
they take
they
like
are.
a big fee with every.
Yeah, they have a big fee and the trading volume is really low. I already mentioned it in Poland as well.
Yeah.
So one of the Polish exchanges is pretty big. They have like zloty, it's like the fiat of Poland. They have a really big, millions of volume, but they have 200,000 volume from euro to Lisk tokens. So you pay a premium then probably.
Correct.
Yeah. But yeah. Thanks guys.